Hi, tax pressure seems to be growing a little more each day. You may think you know how much tax you pay. Think again. From income tax and VAT to council tax and fuel duty, but the full tax picture is much bigger. Whether you're employed, self-employed, or running a business, you're likely paying more tax than you realize. In this short video, we'll briefly go through some of the taxes you pay, direct taxes and indirect taxes. So let's look at few direct taxes. Number one, most important, income tax. Well, we all know that income tax is a direct tax that you pay on your earnings, whether you're employed, self-employed, landlord, your own pensions, or even on your investments. This income tax is deducted directly if you're employed or paid through your self-assessment if you are self-employed or you have any other income. Now, who pays this income tax? Every employee, every self-employed person, every landlord, people, those who've got rental income, pensioners, income from dividends, everyone pays this tax. Now, we all know that the people earning below 12,500 personal allowance do not pay any taxes. But remember, personal allowance remains unchanged since 2021-22 at 12,570. That means if you are working same number of hours and wage rate has increased every year, your total salary is increasing and you have to pay tax and NI on the amount over 12,570. That means you end up paying more taxes with increases in the wages, although personal allowance remains the same. Let's look at a tiny example. For example, you were working 40 hours in 2021 and you were earning 18,530. But if you are working same number of hours in 2025, your salary will be 25,400 pounds approximately. As we know, the personal allowance remains at 12,500. You will end up paying more tax. More people are now earning above the tax-free allowance and being pulled into the tax band. Dividends, as we know, are taxed at 8.75 and 33.75% or 39% depending on your income band. Let's move to next tax that you pay, which is not a tax that we call national insurance. Now, national insurance are payments made by workers and employers to fund state benefits like pensions, maternity pays, and unemployment support and other things. They are deducted from your earnings and it's paid to HMRC. Who pays it? Number one, employees. Every time you receive your salary slip, you may notice that there is a deduction for national insurance. Then self-employment people pay class 2 and class 4 national insurance every time they file their personal tax returns. Employees pay at the rate of around 12%. Then employers, they have to pay employer national insurance based on the employee's salary and the threshold. Let's move to next tax, capital gain tax. Now, capital gain tax is a tax that you pay on the profits when you are selling or disposing of an asset that has increased in value. Remember, it's not payable on the sale price. This tax is paid on the gain that you have made at the rate of 18% basic rate and 24% for higher rate taxpayers. And there is an annual exemption allowance, currently £3,000. Let's move to inheritance tax. Now, inheritance tax is a tax that is payable on the estate of the deceased person. Now, when someone dies, the total value of their estate is calculated, which includes their investments, their business, their properties, and anything. Now, before these estates are distributed to the beneficiaries, executor must deduct the tax paid to HMRC and then distribute the assets to the beneficiaries. Now, if the value of the estates exceeds £325,000, inheritance tax will kick in. Then another tax that each one of us is familiar with is council tax, which is a local charge on residential properties in UK paid by the occupants to fund services like your waste collection, your policing, and other stuff. Now, these council tax are based on the property value bands from A to H set by the valuation office agency, And these rates vary by location and the property band. For example, if you are in band B or D, average you will be paying around £2,200 per year for the current financial year of 24-25. But unlike income tax, council tax is not tied to your earnings. So even if you are earning less, you may end up paying council taxes. Let's look at another one, road tax, or we call it vehicle excise duty or car tax. Well, this is the tax that you have to pay to legally drive your car or to park your car on the public roads. It applies to individuals and businesses alike. Now, these road taxes are based on the CO2 emissions and the fuel types. Rates for the current year 25 range between £10 to £5,490. Now, electronic vehicles, if you remember, used to be fully exempt from road tax. Well, that's gone now. As for April 25, electric vehicles in UK are no longer exempt from the excise duty or call it road tax. Now, the first year rate for zero emission vehicles, electric vehicles is £10. Standard rate from year 2 to 6 is £195 and year 7 onward it will be £195. Hybrid vehicles and alternative fuel vehicles have also lost their £10 annual discount. The next one is what every one of us is paying without realizing, VAT. As a businessman, you may know what VAT is, but as an individual, those who are not carrying on a business, we also pay VAT because VAT is an indirect tax added to the price of most of the goods and services that we receive in UK. It is a tax on spending that affects nearly everyone in UK. It is paid by consumer and collected by the businesses, and it builds into the price of most of the goods and services. For example, when you are filling up a tank in your vehicle, your total price that you pay includes VAT. You pay it every time you are buying something without sending any documentation to HMRC by yourself, because the business which receives VAT from you passes this amount to HMRC. As we've just mentioned, most prices that you see already include VAT. So you pay it without noticing. It's embedded in your shopping, call it dining, your travel, and every digital subscription, you name it, you probably are paying VAT on it. Standard rate of VAT is 20%, and then there are 5 and 0 rated items as well. Let's look at a tiny example. If you're buying a laptop for £1,000 without knowing, without realizing, you are paying £167 in VAT. Now let's move to excise duties. Now excise duties are indirect taxes again, charged on specific goods. Mainly those are considered harmful or luxury items. For example, alcohol, tobacco, betting machine, etc. Now it is paid by the producer or importer, but the cost is always passed on to the consumer through their prices. For example, you buy a bottle of alcohol for £7, nearly 40% of that is tax, excise duty and VAT. Now same applies to a pack of cigarettes or a tank of fuel. Now most interesting is fuel duty. Fuel duty is a tax on petrol, diesel and other fuels used in vehicles. It's charged per litre, and it's one of the biggest components of pump prices. Now, petrol and diesel include fixed duty of 52.95 pence per litre, and you also pay VAT on this 52.95 charge. That means you're paying tax of 52 pence plus VAT on the tax again. For example, you fill up 60 litres of petrol and pump price is £1.40 per litre. So you are paying £31.77 in fuel duty plus £14 VAT on the cost. That is almost £46 of tax that goes to government in terms of fuel duty and VAT. Now next one is stamp duty. Stamp duty is a tax that you pay when you are buying property or land in England and Northern Ireland. Different rules apply in Scotland. Now this tax is based on the purchase price and the property types. Rates for stamp duty may vary according to the property prices and if you are a first-time buyer or it's an investment property. For example, you are buying a house for £350,000 as a first-time buyer, you will approximately pay £2,500 of stamp duty. But the same house, if you are buying as buy-to-let investor, you will end up paying £10,500 as stamp duty, and for commercial property rates may differ. Next one is insurance premium tax. This is a tax on most insurance policies in UK. For example, you've got a car, your home insurance, your medical insurance, name any other insurance. Now it is paid by the insurer, but all the costs are passed on to the consumer through higher premiums. The standard rate is 12% and a higher rate is 28% that specifically apply to most covers. Next one is air passenger duty, or we call it APD. Well, if you're flying from UK, you are paying air passenger duty whether flying domestically or internationally. Airlines pay air passenger duty to HMRC and tax is added to your ticket price. It's based on the flight distance and the class of travel. For example, a standard economy flight from London to New York may include £87 in air passenger duty. If you fly premium, economy or business, this tax will jump up. Next one is landfill tax. Now landfill tax is environmental charge designed to discourage waste disposal in landfills and promote recycling. Now landfill site operators pay the tax directly to HMRC. However, the cost is typically passed to the businesses and local councils and ultimately to the consumer through waste collection fees and everything. Next one is climate change levy. This is payable by non-domestic users like office or shops or factories. Now this tax is on energy used by the businesses, designed to encourage energy efficiency and reduced carbon emissions. Not to mention, if businesses are paying these costs, they will pass these costs to consumer. Now next one is TV license fee. Now TV license fee is payable by anyone who is watching live TV or recording live TV. This license fee funds BBC TV, TV radio and online contents. Well, there are some exemptions to it, but every person has to pay £159 per year in terms of TV license fee. Well, these are few of the taxes, and government is planning to introduce few more taxes like national insurance on the property income or high value property taxes and things like this, which we'll get to know in upcoming budgets. My advice, stay informed, stay compliant, and we are always here to help you. You can contact us on the details given below. Thank you.